Hello everybody, welcome back once again. As always, it's Jay, who's not cool enough to get a code name yet, checking in with the Energon universe. So it's been a little while since I've checked in, so I've unfortunately had adult responsibilities to take care of, so I haven't had time to really actually sit down and look at any of these comics, unfortunately. So this time I'm going to do two together. I'm going to catch up with both G.I. Joe, and then whenever the next Transformers one is, I'm going to catch up with the previous issues. So this time we're doing both Scarlett and Destro back to back. So we'll start with Destro, the most recent one to have come out, brought to us by Dan Waters and Andre Bresson. So I'm going to do much quicker recaps than I tend to do. Usually kind of do a full recap of the book, but just because I'm going to do both at once, I'm going to do a little shorter ones here. So the book opens up with Destro sending in his new Bat Troopers, along with his usual goons, to help with the conquest of a country called Darklonia, where he has effectively installed himself as one true ruler of the country. More accurately, he's like a puppet master kind of thing, but you get the idea. And then after a quick interlude where he convenes with the Destros of time past, Destro is currently holding an illegal arms fair, showing off his brand new fancy gadgets to his various corporate rivals and world leaders and whatnot. However, his primary nemesis, Extensive Enterprises, is currently unavailable, as their leaders, Tomax and Zaymot, are currently assisting a South American government trying to eliminate a secret guerrilla cell, exterminating the military group for failing to follow their orders. And we find out the reason why they ditched the party is because they were planning on blowing it the hell up, and the issue ends with them dropping bombs on Destro's secret base in Darklonia, with Destro only just barely surviving thanks to a dud missile dropping at his feet. So overall, I thought this one was alright. It's a little too slow for my liking. I know it doesn't seem like it considering how quickly I blew through that recap, but I skipped over a lot of the dialogue sequences, just kind of getting through that recap. So this one's very dialogue heavy. It's very slow paced, very introspective of the characters and the events going on and whatnot. Which is not to say I don't like that. I like the way we're building Destro's character. It's very much keeping in mind the characterization he had both in like the old cartoon comics and stuff, where he's really only kind of using Cobra Commander and everybody else to further his own goals. He's very much his own man, and that's what we were building up with in the previous couple issues, and Waters is very much keeping that in mind with this story, and I do like Destro in this. We get some nice sequences of him, but it is very dense. It is very dialogue dense. It is very introspective of just Destro as a character, which for the most part is good. It just covers a lot of the same ground multiple times in the book. I do really like the way the twins, Tomax and Zaymot, are set up. They're set up as being super, very detail-oriented. The kind of like almost obsessively so, to the point where they're focused on the numbers and the adherence to the numbers and stuff, to the point where they straight up slaughter a whole group of people because, oh, they survived and our numbers said that they were supposed to die, so we have to make sure they die. Which I thought was really interesting. It's very cold, very cruel, and it sets them up as being kind of solid villains to juxtapose with Destro, who is somewhat similar-minded with the kind of obsession with their end goal to the detriment of anybody else around them, which makes them work well as foils in this book, and will be interesting going forward when they, again, inevitably join up with Cobra. Though they might not, we don't know, necessarily. I mean, they're more than likely going to, but there's always a chance. Though I will say, I don't particularly like the art in this one. It's a little like the first couple of pages, which what they were showing in all of the previews, those look good, but after that there's a very steep decline in quality. It feels very sloppy, it's not very well detailed. There's a lot of inconsistency from like character looks from panel to panel. It feels just kind of rushed, very sloppy, just does not really hold together very well. Characters kind of seem to change look and shape throughout the book, and while there's a decent flow for the action and movement, it just doesn't have a lot of cohesion to it. Though there's a couple of little details that I like. I like a lot of the look of the environments. The artist has the twins doing this thing where in every panel they're more or less making the same pose but mirrored, because obviously, that's their whole thing, is they're psychically linked and blah blah blah. So I like that way they set that up, where they're kind of always inherently mirroring each other, which was a nice little touch. But the overall, I think, is not particularly great art. The coloring really doesn't help either. It feels a little too over-processed and over-rendered in a couple of spots. So I don't think it's necessarily bad in any real department. I just think it's overall not particularly great. And it kind of drags down the book a little bit. I wasn't too big a fan of it, but I wouldn't say I exactly hated this one. It's a decent setup for the book, and I'm kind of interested to see how they're going to play off Destro and the twins and Cobra and everything else, but was not the best foot forward. But moving on from that, we have the other side of the coin with Scarlett from Kelly Thompson and Marco Ferrari. So the book opens up with Scarlett infiltrating a secret compound in Monaco to go undercover at a well, they don't really specify it by name, but it's very clearly a sex trafficking auction, in order to investigate where these individuals are going and who's buying these people. However, the deal gets broken up when a mysterious group of people, led by Scarlett's friend Jinx, infiltrate it and break up the compound, starting slaughtering everybody there. Scarlett breaks orders in an attempt to go after Jinx, but fails and she escapes. And Scarlett is more or less fired in result for doing so. However, Scarlett returns home and finds Stalker waiting there for her. Stalker reveals that Jinx went AWOL trying to investigate the Arashikage Clan, and Scarlett, having been former best friends with Jinx, teams up with Stalker to attempt to infiltrate the clan on her own and figure out what's going on with Jinx and why she went AWOL. Scarlett manages to impress the leader of the clan, but the issue ends with her getting sucker punched by Storm Shadow and knocked out. So I actually really like this one a whole lot. I really kind of like this conspiracy thriller angle that they're going with. I really like that. It really works for the tone of the book and the series overall. This one so far feels very self-contained. There's no mention of Energon or the Transformers or really anything else. Hell, I don't even think they mention G.I. Joe itself at any point. So this might be taking place before or at least around the same time as Duke. Which is fine, I like that. The conspiracy thriller angle is really interesting. It's nice setup there. The whole spy aspect intro is very much it's very much a spy movie thing where we have this kind of unrelated action set piece kind of setting up the main plot. And I like that angle there too. It's really fun. A lot of really good action. It's very action-focused in this one. Not to say that there's no dialogue. It is very also dialogue-heavy as well, but they balance it out with a lot of really good action. And I actually really enjoy the dialogue in this one. I really like the setup of Scarlett as a character and the interactions with her and Jinx. And there's a lot of flashbacks with those two as friends before she went missing. And they set up a very interesting character dynamic. And just her interactions with everybody as well. Her talking with Stalker is really good. We get a first appearance from Snowjob in this as well, and she talks with Scarlett, or he talks with Scarlett for a little bit. And he doesn't really have a whole lot to do. He's mostly just her ride to the Arashikage compound. But I liked him so far. He seems very fun. He seems to be more comedic relief, which is fine. I like that. We need a little bit of comedy characters in this series. It's starting to get a little heavy. I was right that they are including the Arashikage in this series, though I'm not sure if we're going to have Snake Eyes yet. There isn't any mention of him in any of the previews I've seen so far, though we might get him near the end at some point. They're clearly setting them up now so that we can get to him, but it's going to be interesting how they incorporate Snake Eyes. But I really like Scarlett's character so far. They set her up as being very physically skilled, but kind of emotionally flawed. She's got this one-track mind, and she's really kind of focused on her own goal more than the mission a lot of times, and she kind of struggles with the rigidity of military life and following the rules and stuff, which I like, and that's going to be interesting too once we kind of involve G.I. Joe and her involvement with that. But it really sets her up well. I really do like that. The rest of the cast aren't really set up too well, other than, excluding the characters who we've already seen before. Which is fine, we still have plenty of issues to go through. But I mean, she is the main character for this book, so it makes sense that she gets the most focus. The art in this one is really good. I really like it. The coloring is relatively simple. It's a little more flat, which is fine. It works for the style. The style goes for more of a, I want to say like anime-esque style with the aesthetics and the way the characters are designed, which kind of breaks with the theming the rest of the Energon universe books have had so far, which I'm not too fond of, but on a technical level, it's really good. I really do enjoy the looks of the characters and the way everything's set up. There's a really good flow of action. There's a lot of really good action. The fight scenes we get are really good. Scarlett going solo against a bunch of the ninjas is really fun action scene. Very short, but it's very brutal. I like that. But the coloring works with the style. And I like when they do the flashbacks and we get that kind of, it's like a pinkish tone to it, but it's like a solid color for the flashbacks. And it looks really good and makes a nice contrast with the art style. And I like that. But overall, I don't have a whole lot else to say. I like that they're setting up with this one. I think it's going to be good. I think out of the new batch of books, I like this one more than Destro. And I'm interested to see where things go from here. Again, as always, I know I kind of say that all the time at this point, but no, it is. I am really excited where they're going. They keep having me hooked. Nothing has too majorly come up this point that I'm yet like, I don't know. I mean, it's questionable at points so far, but nothing's really turned me off, which is good. They're still keeping me very hooked, and I like that. But beyond that, I don't have a whole lot else to say for this time for these two books. Hopefully next time I'll be able to get everything all caught up and a little bit more on time. Hopefully, my life is fun sometimes. But that's enough about my fucking bitching. I have a blog to save all that for, so I'm not going to bore you with the rest of that. Thank you all very much for watching.